Hello guys, welcome back again to another tutorial. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how I sew this dress. In my previous video we did the pattern drafting, so in today's video we are going to be joining all the pieces together to make the dress. So if this is something you would like to see, keep on watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. So now let's get right into the video. The material that I use in making this dress is this beautiful crepe fabric. What I'm having here is 4 yard, but I use less than that to make this dress. So if you're on a bigger size, you can do the 4 yard or 5 yard. And it also depends on how full you want the side ruffles to be. So guys, I've already transferred the pattern to the fabric. As you can see, when I was cutting the center front, I added 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the side there. Then on the side front here, I added 1.5 inches sewing allowance to it. Then on the center back, I did the same thing. I just added 1/2 inch sewing allowance on the center back. Then on the side back, I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance to it. So I've already transferred all the pattern to the fabric, and I also use the same pattern to cut out lining for each of this piece. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to keep the back pieces and the sleeve aside while we work on the front pieces. So when I was done cutting out the pattern on this fabric, what I did next was to iron interfacing. So I ironed light interfacing, that is paper gum, on the surface, on the wrong surface of the fabric, so that it will give this fabric some element of strength. Then for the front pieces, I padded it a bit around the bust area. This way, when I join the pieces together, the bust area is going to have some structures. So what I did next was to place the side front on the center front like this. Then I use my office pin to hold it together just the way you see me doing. This is what it looks like after I was done pinning this part. So for the second side, I'm going to do the same thing as well. I'll place the side front on the center front, right side facing each other. Then I will use my office pin to hold it together while I arrange the bustier dart. So after pinning this is what we have this looking like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew the dart. You are going to repeat the same thing on the lining piece. You place the side front on the center front like this, right side facing each other, arrange it properly. Then you do the same thing to the other side. After that, you go over to the sewing machine to sew the dart. Now for the back pieces, you're going to place the center back like this. Then you will pick your side back and place it on the center back, right side facing each other. You can go ahead to use your office pin to hold it together, but if you don't have an office pin, you can just go ahead to sew it directly on your sewing machine. Then you're going to do the same thing to the second side of the center back. You will place your center back, then place the side back on it, right side facing each other. Then you'll go over to the sewing machine to sew the dart. You are going to repeat the same process for the lining piece. Place the side back on the center back, then go over to the sewing machine and sew. So let me go and join all of the dart pieces together, then bring it so that you see what it looks like. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the dart. What I did after I was done sewing the dart that I did not capture was to notch around the dart, okay? And after I was done notching, I took all the pieces to the ironing table and iron it out. I didn't film the part where I was notching. I had to hurry up to iron out the dart because NEPA was really playing with the light and I needed to get this dress out of the way. So this is how the front piece should look like after sewing, notching and ironing. Now to create the stylish collar on the bustier, I'm just going to use my measuring tape to measure from the neckline, that is from this V neckline all the way around up to where the sewing allowance is. Remember, I left 1.5 inches sewing allowance, so I'm just going to measure from the neckline to the point where the sewing allowance is. I will use my chalk to mark the point, and I'm also going to do the same thing to the other side of the bustier. I will start measuring from the V neckline all all the way around to the point where the sewing allowance is. When I measured this, I have 7 inches, so I'll be using the 7 inches to cut out the collar. I will be using this scrap fabric to cut out the collar. The length that I measure on the bustier, that is the length of the collar, is 7 inches. So I'll fold my scrap fabric like this, then I'll measure the length that I am working with, which is 7 inches. The width of the collar that I am working with is 2.5 inches, although I didn't mark that. So after marking the length, I just use my scissors to cut it out because the collar edge is not straight. So on the side here, I'm just going to use my chalk to curve it a bit. You don't need any measurements to do it. Just use your chalk and just curve the center front just the way you see me doing. After that, go ahead to cut it out. I'm going to place this piece on another pieces to cut the second piece out. After that, I will take this over to the sewing machine and I will sew this curve area. I hope you can see how I am directing it. That's how I am going to sew it. So this is what I have after I was done sewing. So the next thing I'm going to do is to use my scissors to knot around this curve area so that when I turn this over to the right side, it's going to sit properly. Now you're just going to turn this collar over to the right side, and after that I'm going to take this over to the ironing table to iron it very well. This is what I have after I was done ironing, and this is the second piece. Now we are going to place a collar on the bustier neckline, but before we do that, we need to place this rope that is around the V neckline just the way you see me doing. And this is the first mistake that I made. I am not supposed to place this rope just yet. This rope should be attached after sewing the lining around the neckline. So on that V neckline part, you're just supposed to leave a little space around the V neckline, okay? Then you place the rope. That is after you must have joined the lining. This thing you see me doing here, I had to lose it because I couldn't turn my fabric to the right side after I was done fixing the lining. So let's just go on. I place the rope on the neckline, then after that I use my pin to hold it down. Then I went on to fix the collar around the neckline. It's just the rope you're not supposed to fix around this V neckline now, but aside that, you can go ahead to fix your collar around the neckline, then you go ahead to make it top stitch. So guys, this is what I have after I was done stitching the collar. As you can see, this collar was supposed to go round to the armhole. So what I'm going to do now is to notch it on the side so that I will be able to turn the rest of the collar. So go ahead, notch the edge here, then turn the collar so that it will relax properly when you are stitching it around the armhole. You are going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the collar. So just notch this turning point here, then turn the collar around the armhole, then go ahead to stitch this up. Moving on, we are going to be working on the sleeve. So on my sleeve pattern, I cut lining piece for it and I use the same fabric for the lining. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch this all the way around this cuff part of the sleeve. Then I will stitch this down part as well. Now the turning point will be from the side. I will do the same thing to this other side of the sleeve as well. I'll stitch around this curve here, then I'll stitch the down part, leaving this side for turning. So let me go and do this and bring it so I see what we have. So guys, this is what I have after I was done joining the collar around the armhole. You can see how relaxed it looks. Now I'll take this over to the ironing table to iron it. Then for the sleeve, this is what I have after I was done sewing the sleeve. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this side that is open to turn this sleeve to the right side. This is what I have after turning this over to the right side. I'm going to take this over to the ironing table now and iron it. Then I will turn out the second piece as well. And this is what I have it looking like after turning each of the piece and ironing them out. So the next thing we are going to be working on is to place the sleeve on the dress. So I will simply place the sleeve on the dress like this. Then I'm going to use my safety pin to hold it together so that it doesn't move. Then I will do the same thing to the other side as well. I'll just place the sleeve on the dress like this. Then I will use my safety pin to hold it together. Make sure you're placing the sleeve where you join your dart. That is the bustier dart, okay? This way your sleeve will be firm around the shoulder. The next thing I'll be doing is to place the lining piece. So go ahead and place your lining piece on this front piece, right side facing each other. Now you are going to arrange the lining and the main piece together. Make sure that the dot line matches each other. Then go ahead and use your office pin to hold it together. Arrange the V neckline together, then use your office pin to hold it together. It was when I was arranging this V neckline that I realized that I messed up. I was not supposed to place that rope around the V neckline just yet. So when you are fixing this part, or like I explained earlier, don't fix the rope around the V neckline yet. Join your lining with the main piece first, but while sewing or while pinning, you can just leave a little space on the V neckline at the top there, so that by the time you are done with everything, you just go ahead to insert the rope on both sides. Then afterward, you can stitch it. I just hope you guys understand the baby grammar I have been speaking. You can go over to watch this video again or listen to this explanation again so that you can get it correctly. Now I will go over to the sewing machine and I'll stitch this just the way you see me directing. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the lining to the main piece. So the next thing I'm going to do is to use my scissors to notch around the neckline, and more importantly notch around the V neckline, so that by the time I turn this over to the right side, the V neckline and the neckline entirely will sit properly. Now I'm going to turn this over to the right side. The next thing I was supposed to do was to iron this out, but currently there is no light. But once I'm done with this dress, I'm going to give it a very good ironing. Moving on, I'm going to fix the sleeve to the back piece. So I'll place my front piece like this, then I'm going to place my back piece on the front piece, right side facing each other. Now I'm going to pick my sleeve and attach it to the back sleeve like this, and I'll use my office pin to hold it together. I'll do the same thing to the other side as well. I will simply place the back sleeve on the front sleeve, right side facing each other. Then I'm going to pick the sleeve and attach it to the back sleeve, just the way you see me doing. Now I'm going to arrange this properly again, just the way you see me doing. Then I'll place my lining piece, that is the back lining, on the back piece like this. I will arrange it very well, use my office pin to hold it together. So I'll first of all pin around the neckline like this. Then I'm going to arrange the side as well, and I'll pin in the side, that is the center back, all the way down to the length of it. And I'll also be pinning this side just like this. Now I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew it the way you see me directing. I'll first of all sew the neckline, then the center back, and also the side up. I will do the same thing to the other side of the back piece. I'll place my lining piece on the back piece, right side facing each other. And I'm going to use my office pin to hold the pieces together just like I did for the first one. Then I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'll stitch it just the way you see me directing. Now let me go and stitch this together so that you see what we have. This is what we have after I was done stitching. So the next thing I'm going to do is to turn this over to the right side. So go ahead and do the same thing. Turn the both back pieces over to the right side. After turning, you will want to make sure that the edges are properly pushed out. So you can use your scissors or any sharp objects to push it out. Now we're going to take this over to the ironing table and iron it properly. So guys, this is what I have after I was done ironing. You can see how nice it looks. So what I did after I was done ironing was to pin the both sides so that we can be able to work on the zipper. So I'm just going to arrange the both back pieces together like this, right side facing each other. So when I was drafting the pattern, I left 1 inch zipper allowance. So I'm just going to arrange the both back pieces very well. Then take this over to the sewing machine and I will stitch the zipper allowance by the 1 inch zipper allowance that I left. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the zipper and blocking the entire back pieces. So what I'm going to do now is to sew the side of this dress. So you can go ahead to take your measurements, that is your bust measurement, your waist measurement and the rest. But if you remember the sewing allowance that you left, it will be much easier. You can just go over to the sewing machine and stitch the both side by the sewing allowance that you left. But I'll be marking the body measurements here. On the bust point, I divided the bust circumference measurement that I am working with by 2 and I marked it on both sides. And I also did the same thing on the waistline. I divided the waist circumference measurement that I am working with by 2 and I also mark it on both sides. Now I'm going to use my chalk to connect the points together just like this. Now I will take this over to the sewing machine and I will sew the side. This is what I have after I was done sewing the side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to loosen up the zipper allowance. I will not be losing the entire back pieces, just the part where I'll be fixing the zipper. Then I'm just going to fix my zipper, and this is what I have after I was done fixing the zipper. You can see how neat it looks. Now the next thing we are going to be working on is the side ruffles. So guys, I've already cut out the side and I used the slash and spread method that I told you earlier, or I taught you earlier, to cut the side out. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm going to place my side on this part of the dress like this. Then I'm going to pin it all the way, just the way you see me doing. This is how I'm going to be spreading these pieces on my fabric to get the full
So guys, after pinning the both side, we had excess fabric. So what I'm going to do with this excess fabric now is to gather it and place it at the top here. Okay, if you can't run a gather, you can pleat it. Whichever one you feel like doing, go ahead and do it. Okay, so now I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this all the way around, and I'll do the same thing to the other side as well. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the side. You can see how beautiful this dress turned out. You can see how neat it is. And after I was done sewing the side, I went on to sew the hemline. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have watched this video to this point, I hope you find this video really helpful. If you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please do well to hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so that you get notified when I drop new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you have any question, any feedback, or any style inspiration you want me to recreate, let me know in the comment section. For now, bye. See you all in my next video.